up to 1,000 transgender troops being separated under a new Pentagon memo. I'm gonna read this one. This is always a hot topic. The Pentagon will immediately begin moving as many as 1,000 openly identifying transgender service members out of the military and give others 30 days to self-identify under a new directive issued Thursday. So, 1,000 of you are out. A few of you have 1 month to become normal again. And if you do not become normal, you're out too. Normal, I mean like you are either a male or you are a female. You got 30 days to decide. Oh shit. Buoyed by Tuesday Supreme Court decision allowing the Trump administration to enforce a ban on transgender individuals in the military, the Defense Department will begin going through medical records to identify others who haven't come forward. Ooh, so y'all can't hide. Some may not be openly transgender, but they've been going to the doctors to seek information or an actual procedure about this. Transition hormone, whatever the fuck it is they take, you know, they're gonna find you. And believe you me, they will find you. Hegseth, who issued the latest memo, made his views clear after the court's decision. No more trans. Earlier in the day, before the court acted, Hegseth said that his department is leaving wokeness and weakness behind. My man, I still think you're a fucking idiot for that whole signal debacle, but holy shit. No more pronouns, he told a Special Operations Forces conference in Tampa. No more dudes in dresses. We're done with that shit. Yeah, we're hitting the factory reset on the military. Thank you. I truly appreciate it. Department officials have said it's difficult to determine exactly how many transgender service members there are, but medical records will show those who have been diagnosed with gender dysphoria, who show symptoms or are being treated, like I said earlier. Those troops would then be involuntarily forced out of the service, and no one with that diagnosis will be allowed to enlist. Gender dysphoria occurs when a person's biological sex does not match up with their gender identity. And for the military, an organization that likes to keep things stupid simple, to a degree, keywords to a degree, this is too complicated for the service. I said that a couple weeks ago, even a couple months ago, even last year. This is all just too complicated for the military. And it's about uniformity, man. You're not special, you're not different, you're not unique, you don't stand out, nothing. It's uniformity all around, man. And so you got to leave it at the door. You can't be a part of the fight. That makes sense. You come with too much baggage for the military to accept. And that's just the God's honest truth. So, I mean, I'm a firm believer that as long as you can shoot, move, and communicate, be in the right place at the right time, in the right uniform, I'll fight next to you. And if you can meet the physical standards, you can fight next to me. But, I mean, I agree here, bro. I do. It's just, this is no place for you. The military doesn't have the time nor the resources, quite frankly, the patience to deal with you, to deal with y'all. So, you gotta go. Officials said that as of December 9th, 2024, there were 4,240 troops diagnosed with gender dysphoria in the active duty, National Guard, and Reserve. So that number is all encompassing. There are about 2.1 million total troops serving. Out of 2.1 million troops, you remove 4,200. That's not even a drop of a drop in the bucket, so the Supreme Court ruled that the administration could enforce the ban on transgender people in the military while other legal challenges proceed. The court's 3 liberal justices said they would have kept the policy on hold. Why? For what? So that it can be forgotten about and swept under the rug and never looked at again and never enforced? No, hell no. Pentagon spokesperson Sean Parnell said that 1,000 troops who already self-identified will begin the voluntary separation process. So these 1,000 troops are leaving on their own from the military. While it may be difficult to see which troops have changed their gender identity in the military records, it will be easier to determine who has gotten a gender dysphoria diagnosis, because it's just easier to look at the paperwork than it is to look at an actual person, because that will be part of their medical record, as will any medication they are taking. In 2015 and 2024, the total cost for psychotherapy, gender-affirming hormone therapy, gender-affirming surgery, and other treatment for service members is about $52 million. That's a lot of money. Pentagon officials in an earlier memo defended the ban, saying that medical, surgical, and mental health constraints on individuals who have a current diagnosis or history of or exhibit symptoms consistent with gender dysphoria are incompatible with the high mental and physical standards necessary for military service. I agree with that as well. I just do, man. The same way I agree that females are no good for Navy SEALs and Special Forces. That's just it. Like, physically, they can't do that job. Most of them, 99% of them. Maybe there's one or two, and I'll give them credit wherever credit is due. But you know what I'm saying? There's exclusion everywhere within the military, not just towards transgender people, man. I really do understand this. Are incompatible with the high mental and physical standards necessary for military service. So you already have so much shit going on inside your head. What would happen if we added PTSD to that, anxiety to that, stressful situations, combat, death, right? What if we just added all that to the already existing problems inside your head? That's not a good mix, man. The new Pentagon policy would allow for limited exemptions. That includes transgender personnel seeking to enlist who can prove on a case-by-case basis that they directly support warfighting activities, or an existing service member diagnosed with gender dysphoria can prove they support a specific warfighting need, never transition to the gender they identify with, and proves over 36 months they are stable in their biological sex without clinically significant distress. So basically, y'all are gonna have to talk to a lot of therapists and a lot of head doctors and go through a lot of psychoanalysis before the military lets you hold a weapon. That's it. You're going to have to prove to them without a shadow of a doubt that you can physically and mentally do the job in every circumstance that it means to be a soldier, right? And if you do not check off all those boxes, you can't. If a waiver is issued, the applicant would still face a situation where only their biological sex was recognized for bathroom facilities, sleeping quarters, and even an official recognition such as being called sir or ma'am. The last thing you want in the military is what happened in that prison. I forget what state it was, where they let a man who claimed he was a female in the prison, and a couple of female inmates were raped, sexually assaulted by this man who claimed he was a female. That's the last thing we need in military barracks. That's the last thing we need in a training environment. That's the last thing we need in a combat environment. You don't want to be in a combat environment. Your homie is supposed to have your back, but instead he or she is watching your back. What? No. Nope. Man, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, and with the whole sir or ma'am thing, oh man, that would just be like a field day with the officers and shit, and it would just be a shit show, and it would just be so stupid. Some of the officers already make that sir and ma'am thing unbearable as it is. Met a lot of officers that they hated the idea of being called sir. Met officers that hated the idea of being saluted. And then I met others that they would slice your throat if you didn't do either of those. Right, so there's some officers that already make that whole sir and ma'am thing fucking dumb, right? And the last thing we need is you get called by your rank in the military or by your last name. And I know that some officers are weird and they call each other by their first names, but whatever. Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. That's that. Good news today.